What else do we get? And he's like, I'm going to show you what his answer is like. I'm going to do this. And this is what you get. Like, this is it. This is what I do. This is art, kind of thing. So it's like a kind of a.
Yeah, we'll dive deeper in the night. So if you're a project, someone says win utility, you say, I'm locking myself in a room and doing art and streaming it. You're allowed to do that,
Full
everyone.
send,
Okay, this space is all brand new.
Number go up, number go.
SEC does allow. This is not a security right now. We're not buying anything here. Jerry, are we good upstairs? You ready to start? Beautiful. I believe we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to IRL Alpha. My name is BeganBot. I'm your host. We're here to talk about all things NFT, Web3, crypto, whatever other memes come up. However, this week, it's kind of a special show because if you don't know, we've been doing this for over 2.5 years. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right, Chava. So we've seen ups, we've seen downs, we've seen meta after meta. I mean, I've been here when, it's digital land. Next week, it's like, it's digital fashion. The week after that, it's like, you don't understand, man. I got it all in anime. Yeah. And now, after so many years, we've seen a bunch of projects actually survive and stay. We actually have multiple in the room right now who've been around building, contributing. And so, round of applause. So today's show, we actually wanted to celebrate, first of all, Oni14's being around for 3 years, which is wild here. So real round of applause. Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm sorry, it's a very, very small elite group, and truthfully, it's not something where you say, I started a project, and for 3 years, life was awesome, and it all went great. That's not how entrepreneurship, that's not how projects work. It takes a lot to survive here. So we got a bunch of OGs in the house here, people who have actually built even outside of Web3, which is, you can actually make money outside of Web3. It's like a wild thing here. So we're going to kind of talk through, like, how do you survive, how we're going to keep surviving in the future. Maybe we'll share a couple war stories, some horror stories here like that. Talk about when to pivot, different communities, all that fun stuff. But before we do that, let's introduce who we have. First, speaking of OGs, OG in the IRL Alpha community, OG in the Ordinals community, or OG in the ETH community. He's kind of an OG in life, too, truthfully. I'm calling you old, sorry. Also, literally one of our favorite host of the Ordinals Are Dead show, one of our favorite members. He is always involved in something brand new, following what's on the ground. I feel old every time I talk to him. He's like, you're not on that? Okay, fine. All right. Well, I already got a whitelist for it. You don't get a whitelist for it. Well, I started grinding last week. So it's just someone who we had to have because he's been around for so long. He's also been in a couple of movies, and legally we have to show his IMDb every single time he's on stage. So you got to show it out here. That headshot is nice. I missed at one point it was an ape. When are you bringing the ape back here?
It's in the
photo gallery.
Images section.
Okay, in the gallery. Okay,
There's
updated.
a lady there too that I had up for a week, but whatever.
Okay, whatever. He lost a lot of gigs, a lot of things canceled.
I wanted to do it for a week just to be the first, whatever.
Also, he's got a couple projects here. You guys might know him. First anime project on Bitcoin Ordinals. He's also wearing the shirt right now. That's where everyone's getting their alpha. Apparently, every time I go in there, I'm always a day late and $1 short. But one day I'm gonna put notifications on. Also, Retordinals. Why'd you make me say that? I'm gonna get canceled now here. They got great memes online here. Troy, what's going on? How you doing?
Thanks, man. I fucking love this. It's my favorite day of the week, Thursdays. I literally came because I was gonna skip out today because I hurt my ribs, but I was like, no, I want to be with Star-Lordy, Art Snitch, and Oni.
That's not how when I called him and I said, Troy, I don't care if you're in pain. I said, we'll massage you after, and we're gonna take care of you.
Do some Reiki. I think somebody in the audience does Reiki over there.
It's true.
I'm Troy. The way that Began put it to me last week is never forget, you are an actor that happens to be a degen builder in the space, and I like that talk. So, leading off with that, I've been building in this space. I started in Solana. I bought it at $1, and I just every day I was in a group, and I just stayed there every day. And I acted on the side. It became that was my main job, but you only have to go in one day to do the job, and you come back and you can just degen and build and stuff like that. So I wrote a lot of lore for a lot of projects. One of my partners right there, Dave, sitting next to Dave Rosenbaum, we own a project called Ordinals, and we are IP Hollywood guys, and we love to build, and we build like fucking champions, silent but deadly, and we're really approachable, and we respect our community, just like we respect our friends. And I own a very historic art meme project on Ordinals called Retordinals, and it's not about being slow mentally. It's about degens who don't read white paper and they mint anything. Sound familiar? So, and it's historic because it's the only collection that has the most assets that are mined on the 840 halving block. Beyond that, we have a lot of partnerships coming out. I know a lot of people, and I don't chase I don't chase partnerships. They come to me because I'm not that kind of the chaser, you know. And I'm very trustworthy and very honest. And
Troy, you said you were an actor, and that was the first thing you started with, and you're wearing these like tinted glasses, but no.
Yeah, I act, and I'm a screenwriter as well for 32 years. So yeah, other than that, but please.
I'm with you. Okay, beautiful.
You got it. Yeah.
So today, a beautiful surprise. One of the good things about the show is sometimes we don't know who's actually going to be on the show all the time here. So luckily today, I woke up and we found out we got a special surprise because I don't know. This is like the 5th iteration of Began right now. I used to be a different person. Maybe like 5 years ago, I was just working on a startup full time, clean shaven. My shirt was tucked in, coded 24 hours a day, woke up early every single day. You know what I listened to after I woke up? After I meditated and journaled, then I would hit the impact theory. I'd pop this on, and then I'd be like, okay, how can I optimize today? Let's go. And I was on it, you know. And it's funny because me and a bunch of my friends who were in like the startup tech scene, we'd always would say, if you're a person who's like getting into being productive, first it's like, okay, do you already work out? Do you already meditate? All right, you're already journaling? Eventually you're like, I've done the basics. Where do I go? And that's where you find Tom, I feel like, a lot here. And so I'll listen to your podcast for, I'm not even joking, like 100 million hours, so many. And a person who's like helping me, like, I don't know, level things up. And you're someone before this whole thing who actually sold a company for actual money. You can get the products in stores, Quest bars. Have you guys ever seen them? It's a wild thing in Web3 we've never heard of where people buy the products. They make money from them and then someone else buys the company here. So, and now you've transitioned, you've done a bunch of different stuff here, but building inside of Web3, and you have a game right now. I saw your tweet saying web development is like asking to be punched in the face. So I think we'll dive a little bit into that. I'm excited. Tom, who are you? What's going on?
Name's Tom Bilyeu, co-founded a company called Quest Nutrition and left that about 7 years ago. My whole journey was I went to film school. I thought I would graduate and get the 3-picture deal. I did not. And this is before cell phones, period, let alone cell phones with cameras on them. So I had no idea how to break into the industry. Wrote a screenplay, got turned into a feature film. That hurt. That wasn't a fun experience.
Oh my God.
I met 2 very successful entrepreneurs, and they said, look, man, you're coming to the world with your hand out, and if you want to sound better, you should eat the microphone.
Yeah.
That sounded good, actually.
That's the lesson we're learning here. So if you want to control the art, you've got to get rich, and then you can start your own studio. Thank you, by the way, Troy. So I thought, yeah, that sounds perfect. Should take about 18 months. It took 15 years, but it actually worked. And so we, my wife and I, who was also part of the founding team there, we exited Quest, and literally on a Monday, and on Tuesday we started Impact Theory. When I was first coming up, I couldn't have told you why I wanted to tell stories. I just wanted to tell stories. I loved storytelling. But in manufacturing, you end up working in the inner cities. Make a very long story short, I realized that only about 2% of the world will make a change if you say, think like this, act like this. Because it really, a simple set of ideas took me from scrounging on my couch cushions to find enough change to put gas in my car, to go to a job interview, to then selling a company for $1 billion. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to tell everybody these simple ideas. And nobody did anything with them. And so I was like, wow, this sucks. So I got obsessed with the 98% of people. And the reality is, after exploring Japan and what they were doing in comics, I realized they actually have a word for what I was looking for, which is shonen, which translates as the few years. And the few years is what we in the West would call the age of imprinting. It's from 11 to 15. It's where you push away from your parents and you start drinking deeply of culture. And it really shapes what I call your frame of reference. And so I realized if I was actually going to impact people, this is why it's called Impact Theory, I would need to, through entertainment, introduce them to ideas from people like Bruce Lee, who is our first partner with the video game that we've created called Project Kaizen. And so that's it. That's the rest of my life. I don't need to work ever again, but I want to build things that really impact people. And the way to do that is at the emotional level with good ideas. And so that is what I have dedicated the rest of my life to. I'm known for the stuff that I do for the 2%, which is the YouTube stuff. So we say our previous company was $1 billion company. Our current company is a 1 billion view company. So it really is just this simple set of ideas. Now we're trying to get it across in entertainment.
Beautiful, awesome. I was gonna say it's like listening to a podcast here. Yeah, random.
Yeah.
So good.
I bring the big guns.
Yeah,
for
you
our
do.
birthday.
Thank you. This is crazy.
Hey,
Here, you know what I'm
Starlord, you
saying?
can
So-
follow that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, hey, sorry, Star-Lordy. That's how it goes.
Well,
you invited him.
No,
this is
you know
your
the
fault.
funny
I
part-
put him in the order
The
here.
funny part is, very similar story. Love impact theory. I've been following Tom for a long time. He's one of the few people, when, you know, like for people who've gotten into podcasts or whatever, it's like you kind of discover some of the same personalities that everybody else does, and you figure out, you know, you like Tim Ferriss, you like Joe Rogan or whatever. I feel like for me, Tom was like the first person I was like, oh shit, like this is a dude that I would like want to hang out with, you know. And he's also like truly trying to like help people. And so when we met,
Tonight's the night.
yeah, when we
He also likes anime.
no, but the funny part is when we met at Comic-Con last year, we were talking about our backstories. I was like, man, our backstories are so similar, like film and comic book geek. Except for the $1 billion company, you know, but everything else exactly
Yeah,
the
it's
same.
okay. But, yeah.
And he was like, not yet. And I was like, yeah, damn straight. So anyways, I think for me, you guys might know me. I'm the CEO of OniForce. I've been here for like 2.5 years now.
Yeah, right about
I
that.
came in like when OniForce had gone from 7 ETH to 0.2 ETH floor within like a 2-month span.
Very fast.
The thing is, like, I was friends with the founders before, and I didn't really know what was going on behind the scenes, and so I kind of offered to help. And it's kind of the feeling like you're offering to go help, like, spring clean someone's house, and then you get to the front door, and they open it, and the entire thing's on fire, and they just throw you the key, and they're like, okay, we'll see you next Sunday. And I was like, oh, my gosh, what is this? And this is, like, my first foray into Web3. I had never run a Web3 project before. I didn't even have a Discord handle like when I first, you know, went in. And anyways, I feel like I was given a video game where it was like on hard mode and there was 1 life left, and they were like, okay,
Oh my God.
figure this out. Keep from going to 0. But what happened was actually immediately I fell in love with the community. And because it was really the first community where I felt like, wow, these are like my people, you know, like we're into all the same things. We have similar values. And that's when Web3 really hooked me and really taught me like the meaning of building emotional ties with the people that you share this kind of crazy times with. And so then OniForce went through, you know, very tough times. We basically got it to acquisition, and then that was good, and we have really great ownership, and I stayed on as CEO, and now we're finally delivering products to our community that they've been waiting for all these years, which is really great. Dropped a collection on ordinals, which was really important for us because I think that's a huge part of the future of Web3.
Let's go.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So I just want to also say thanks to everybody who's here who came to celebrate the anniversary. We're going to be giving out free comic books too. Very
Posters.
exclusive prototypes of the comic book.
Yeah, here, Troy, hold that up real fast. Look at
Posters.
it. The quality is insane on these, actually.
Yeah, this is like
Do you want me to model
that's
it or
the
do
Yeah,
back?
model it,
That's the
Troy.
back.
Like, come
That's
on,
the-
you know this is what we
that's
pay
the
you
back.
for.
That's
That's
the
the back.
back.
Oh,
There you
Thanks,
go.
Vanna.
we got
Thanks,
it.
Vanna.
but
Very good. That's good.
Very.
Yeah.
I can tell you this is this is my shill moment. Sorry. This
Oh,
is
yeah, you're allowed to.
This is the most premium comic book you're gonna find in Web3 right now. Like a lot of love went into it. It was also the reason why for me it's super special. As a childhood like fan of comics, my first dream was to be a comic book artist and a comic book creator. So like, you know, 40 years later or whatever, like to be able to like see that come to fruition and do it in the Web3 way with the community. It was developed by 77 members of the community that came in. We spent every weekend like meeting to talk about story, figure out the character, what his purpose was, what it meant, you know, what the art was. And to be honest, like that book represents like the best time I've ever had in Web3, you know, it's like the actual creation with people. So now what we want to do is we want to take this and change the model of how IP is created. You know what I mean? We want to make a model where IP, you get to actually create with the company and you also get rewarded along the way. So I feel like this book does truly represent like kind of the manifestation of a lot of dreams of a lot of people. And by the way, shout out to all the OGs and Oni people that are here. And
Yeah.
the last thing I'm gonna say is actually fun Easter egg. Tom is more OG in Oni than I am because he minted Oni for us. So he actually, we should
Nice,
ask him
bro.
later what it was like 3 years ago, you know, because that's really a part of history. Because I genuinely don't know anybody who's achieved his level of business success, who's in the trenches in Web3 with
Without
us,
security,
like-
is there no security here? Like, well, I need this guy.
Security's
Troy's the
out front.
security.
There is
Troy's the
security out here,
security.
Troy. What are you saying?
Troy, you are the
Yes,
security.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's why we're paying you so much here.
Anyways, now I'd love to introduce my really great friend James Fink, Art Snitch. He's also an OG. Has been a huge part of growing this brand from the day I met him, actually,
Yeah.
when he sent the wrong person Bitcoin. Do you remember that?
What'd you do wrong?
Are you guys?
This is how I know how James is such an amazing person.
Oh yes, I do know.
One
that.
day
Yeah,
he
yeah.
texts me and he goes, "Hey, did you just ask me for Bitcoin?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "No. Why would I do that?" And he's like, "I think your
It
Telegram's
was
hacked."
your Telegram.
And then he was like, "Damn, I really wish I didn't send that to you." And I was like, my first reaction was though, like, what a great friend that he was like, I'm in need, and he didn't even ask questions. He's like, I'm gonna take care of you. So we had to hire him after that.
Yeah.
That was part of the
That was
deal.
poor,
That was the payment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, James. go
Yeah,
ahead.
no. So yeah, I mean, Star Lord Henry said it itself. I'm James Fink. I would go by Art Snitch in the space. Huge fan of Oni Force before I got to come aboard. I let it kind of crash and Henry fix it, and then he brought me on, so I didn't have to deal with the same stuff that he had to deal with. Thank God. But they call me the Hand. If you're familiar with the Game of Thrones reference, I kind of fill in when Henry's traveling a lot. I try and just help manage the project as much as I can, but no one replaces him ever. So that's really
It's
how
a team
should go.
effort.
It is though. Look, the art of Oni Force is what saved it, and then Henry came in and actually brought the community together. So
That was
to
a
be
team
here
effort.
3 years from now, and then to be part of a comic book with my name in it, which shout out to some of my family where we used to go to comic stores every week and fight over the comics, and there's a whole story behind that. To now actually see a comic book that has my name in it, and knowing that's going to hit comic book stores in a year, it's just like a dream come true. Not to mention I'm a fan of art. I'm a fan of the Web3 space and what we can build as a community. So it's a pleasure to be here with this panel and you guys.
Yeah, man. Hard cover
Beautiful.
too.
Yeah,
Hard
thank you.
cover.
Round of applause.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of special people in the audience, by the way, who know the history of Oni Force, who've been part of the history of Oni Force. Everywhere I go, I'll meet people and they'll tell me little tidbits, and that's when you realize that's what makes Web3 special, is like we're all like on this journey together. We're all telling the story of Web3 together. So just want to thank you guys for being here.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. I'm going.
Yeah, no.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been doing the show now for like 2.5 years, and I see people who were there when we were creating the show outside. Danette was there at the first show. People who've been there for 2.5 years who are still here. So
The
yeah,
whole
so
room was like a white room. It was a simple.
It was bad, guys. It
eraser
was a
board.
lot worse. We were not
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So we should go on and start with the nostalgia and talk about what happened in 2021, right? Isn't that what you wanted to do?
I mean, so this actually
Yeah.
is an interesting part about this. Okay, so 2021 is a wild time because remember, not everyone said this is going to make generational wealth. Not everyone's like, you buy the monkey photos, you get ungodly rich. You buy the Onis, you get. That was not the theme. I still was showing up to parties being like, I got something that's kind of going up. Like, this might keep going. We did not know it would keep progressing the way it did. And because of that, you have a group of people who are not all just max money focused. It was I went to the first Bored Ape meetup right here in Venice. It was an intense collection of like, I'm in real estate, I'm hustling, always looking for new opportunities. I'm a coder, always on the cutting edge of stuff. And I was like, I'm a gambler, I can do poker all day. And I think I was like, what? This is the greatest assembly of characters you've
Yes.
ever seen in the beginning. Like, I met Troy right then too, and he's like, I'm an actor, but listen, I'm trading better than you. I'm like, okay.
I met you at an NBA sporting Web3 thing, and you were the only person I talked to, and I go, that's the only friend I need. I don't need to talk to 20 people.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the NBA, so that was why.
No, it was like a sport, and I was just like, you talked very fast. I like that.
Yes.
And anyway,
So,
and, go ahead.
so one of the I think the interesting things we've kind of seen over the years is because everyone here is building in the space in some way, and we're all doing it for passion. It's not about max money here. But guess what? You got to hire and scale people out. So you got to scale out your friends. And the people we're scaling from, they're kind of crazy. I'm kind of crazy, right? And so this question I'm wondering, everyone up here, how do you go through and find the people in the community when you're like, okay, you're passionate, okay, maybe we can work. Like, it's a little different. We don't do resumes out here. A lot of it is you meet them in person. We're out late at night. We're out late the next night. You call me for a play all of a sudden. I made some good money. Let's do business. And then a month later I go, you do what in the real world? So
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of curious. Like, when you first took over Oni, were you like, okay, who do we have inside here? Where do these people come from? How do we find new ones?
Yeah, that was the first question because we had no money. Like when I took over, there was nothing in the treasury, and there was a lot of stuff to deliver. So it was pretty stressful actually, and really, actually, I think the reason why James is here is like he was literally one of the first people, the first person in the community who was like, just raised his hand. It was like, I'll help, and so he just started helping however he could. And what I've learned over the years is like, actually, this was my thesis in the very beginning when we took over Oni Force or tried to like fix it, is that at the time the trust had been broken because it was one of the first, it was like Pudgy and Oni were the first two blue chips from 2021 to fall, you know what I mean? And so those communities were like on fire. Like it was incredibly toxic. I wasn't even on Twitter for the first like 8 months because like if anybody mentioned Oni, it would be like instant like clown face emojis, like memes. Like I remember my first day in the Discord when I was introducing myself, I didn't even do anything good or bad, and as soon as I said hi, like people started doing clown face memes and like Star-Lordy this, and, he's an agent of the devil and things like that. And I was like, whoa, I was like, what's going on here? And so I think the thesis I had was that first of all, you have to convey to your community like very clear values, right? Which for us had to be transparency and honesty and trust and being accountable. Like all the things that had broken their trust, we had to make like our core values moving forward, meaning like every single decision we make, whether it's personnel or what projects to work on or what's a priority, it's like it has to fit those values first. And I think then the next step is you communicate those values. You keep telling people in the town hall. You explain to your community what ethos you're trying to live by. And what I learned from the past is that when you do that, if you have clear values and you convey it consistently, then you naturally, it's like sifting for gold. It's like your real community appears, right? Like the ones who are attracted to those values naturally will just be there all of a sudden. And so like James was one of those people where he just raised his hand and so that's how we still do things, is like kind of just be very authentic and just find people who have that similar vibe.
I also had a corporate background where I worked at CBS and Univision. So that
he did a lot of other stuff, like real things, but he was also there.
But you sift and you find out, wait, you had real jobs? The other guy.
I was like, you've made money for people in the past. How can you make money for us?
Yeah, I got kind of I've had like I don't know if it's a pessimistic theory, but my theory over the past 2.5 years, I started saying, if you've already are doing it right now, you can probably help us do it. But I mean, a lot of people are saying, I'll help you make games. Have you made games before? No. And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, Tom has scaled a company to $1 billion, so I really want to know what. I mean, he's seen every phase of that growth and that acquisition. So I'm curious, like, how is that different for you now, being in Web3, building a game and stuff, and trying to find the right community or people to like build with, Yeah.
Well, so building their universal principles, right? So you guys are already laying them out. Make sure you have values. Make sure that you communicate those. Make sure you're attracting the right people. For all the talk about diversity, you don't want diversity of values. So you want people that share a vision, that have, whether it's transparency, honesty, trust is our core thing. You don't want somebody
dominating.
in there.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. You don't want somebody in there who's like, nah, trust sucks. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you'll just end up pulling in different directions. And hiring becomes one of the most important things you do. Everybody struggles with that, certainly myself included. And so you just have to be really thoughtful about if the person doesn't fit, then you have to exit them and find somebody else. I'll probably sound like the old fuddy-duddy up here.
The only one who exited a company for $1 billion. He's like, I'm sorry, it's old advice, but
in terms of, we've got
It might
HR
hurt your
department.
feelings. Don't listen to me. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
so we try to be really regimented about that. We've hired people from the community, but that's not our standard go-to place to find people. To your point, if you haven't done it before, I'm not going to hire you to do it unless, every now and then you'll get just a freak of nature. So one of our game directors was hired from the community, and he was hired as a community manager. So it was just like, come in, help us manage the community. And he had been doing that for a year, and he comes up to me, and we were like thinking about letting him go. We're like, he's really not performing. And he comes and he's like, hey, look, you have me in the wrong job. And I am so passionate about video games give me a shot. And I was like, look, you've never done it before. You know, we're looking for people that have experience. He said, I'll work for free. And I was like,
Magic words.
okay, the state of California will not let me do that.
Minimum wage it is.
But I can pay you minimum wage and we'll give you a shot and let's see. And so he came in and he literally ate the soul of a 30-year veteran who he was reporting to because he was just so hungry and so driven and was learning so much every day and just pushing this guy that ultimately that guy sort of soft retired and this kid just kept climbing the ranks. It's really pretty beautiful to watch when you find somebody that amazing. So as an entrepreneur, I say my job is to create the soil and then let people grow. My job is not to turn you into a pair of hands and tell you what to do. It's to say, this is our value system. This is how we do things. We write a culture doc. Everybody has to sign the culture doc before they come on. And it basically says, hey, you know Kobe Bryant? You know that thing called the Mamba mentality? If you have it, you can work here. And if you don't, you can't. And we're pretty hardcore about that. So when we find people that like that and are excited by that, then we get something. But, you know, you were saying earlier that I put out a tweet that said game development is like begging somebody to punch you in the face over and over and over. And there's a great Churchill quote, which is, success is the ability to go from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm. And that's not just Web3, that's not just game development, that's anything that matters in life because it's all going to be hard. And so it just becomes a question of, do you have the systems, the people, and the mentality to push through?
Totally. That is like the greatest quote ever for what we're talking today. Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of times in the market, it was like, you're beat up and you're more beat up. And guess what? It got hacked. And guess what? There's a, you know, it's just, it's been rough. And like, I found for myself, if everything goes wrong, I go, okay, turning off Twitter, I'm pulling up my editor, I'm coding. And you just code and you just build. And I really think that you saw like so many of the projects then came out the next time the bull happened, whatever you want to call it that is. It was like, yeah, I built the whole bear. But the problem is you have to stay tapped in to know what's happening. So like, yeah, I'm kind of curious, like when things are getting dark, how much of the intake feedback do you actually take? How much do you say, okay, blinders on, I'm working, and I'll see you in 2 months?
Wow, that's a good one, because especially that's very poignant because, you know, when we announced last or in which NFTLA was it? It was like in 2022.
Yeah.
We announced in March that we were gonna go into ordinals, which, you know, if you're into ordinals, like March is pretty early for like an ETH project that has like a lot of expectations.
It's early for everyone.
Yeah,
okay.
and like, but like to just go all in and be like, I remember like being on the rooftop and I'm excited because I'm like, I'm gonna do the big presentation of what we're gonna do. This is the future of OmniForce. This is the next phase, and I'm like, we're doing ordinals, and everybody's like, what? Like what? You know? And then we had people like our whales, people who have like 100 Oni, being like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that. That's gonna kill your project. You know, I think there was a lot of doubt, but for me, I just had a lot of conviction. And so I think the problem is, since the acquisition happened, like, which was February, literally every month after that got worse and worse and worse in the market. Like every month got worse. It was like it wouldn't stop. And so by December, it was like, I mean, you guys remember, like December was probably like a very depressing time, you know, last year for a lot of people. And
we still did a meetup right here.
Yeah,
and it was just not here. No, the last spot. Yeah, it was just like, it was like 20 people. We're down to 20, and it was like, what are you guys learning? And it's like, I'm learning a little bit of coding. What are you doing over there? It's like, I'm learning to knit too. Yeah. Like something's gonna happen. So we survived.
No, yeah, and so I think the hardest part of that though, it wasn't so much the market, because I don't mind that. Like I was expecting the market to implode. I was seeing it more as an opportunity to grow. Because I do think chaos is a ladder. Like I think when chaos happens, like the people who build, the people who are ready for it can actually grow. I think the hardest part was finding out that the whole space only fucking cared about you dropping a token and like making their bag fat. So like a lot of people who pretended to be like, oh, art matters, community matters, storytelling matters. Like a lot of those people in the space, they just don't, I mean, you know, push comes to shove, maybe that's how human nature is. But anyways, they didn't care. And then our community, for the most part, was really resilient because we had already suffered. So the people who were there didn't care about floor price, that kind of stuff. But I think as expectations went up about what we're supposed to produce, the hard part was what I would learn is like people would start pressuring me to like do something about the floor price. But then when I would ask them what to do, literally the only thing anybody could come up with is drop a token. And so I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, do you have any concept of what that's going to do to the project and you in the long run?
One last pump,
You know,
is what
yeah.
they're saying. One last pump and I'm out.
So I think the hardest part was actually having a builder's mentality and trying to survive when people are shifting to a more PvP, like kind of not rewarding building. And to be honest, that's why when I went to Ordinals, I found out it's amazing because they actually reward you for building. When I talk to people about the stuff we're building on Ordinals, they're like, they respect that. Versus ETH, it's still like, okay, what's the gamification? What's the Ponzi scheme? Like, how are you gonna like make value out of nothing? So I think the hardest part is just like truly going your way and like having conviction and not letting people tell you to stop, even if they have a lot of money, a lot of assets of yours. They have the ability to like pressure you. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was a really important lesson.
I'll add to that just because, you know, our ownership is a team that we used to work at Binance, right? They ran Binance. They built a fund based on cryptocurrencies and, you know, trading and all that stuff. So the pressure for a token was even higher because of who our ownership group was. And the amount of meetings that we had to discuss what to do next ultimately always went to what is the core, what are our promises, and what can we deliver on? And we stuck to that in order to make sure that we continued that process. And then, you know, Henry's really great. He's got a vision and he's able to see in advance, right? And then it's up to us to kind of like make that come together. And the Fallen that we did on the collection that we did on Ordinals was the first step in delivering something again. And now the comic, I mean, those things take a long time to put together. So we have to stay with that narrative. And that was ultimately the team's plan.
Well, that is one of the biggest problems that like we always talk about delivering things and everyone talks in like a week when we know that anything, software takes forever, movies take forever, comics take forever.
Video games take forever.
Video games take forever.
Yeah.
You know, like
It
it's
redefines forever.
yeah, exactly. And it's tough balancing expectations of degens. You know, everyone's waiting for GTA 6 still, and it's like it's okay. You know, kids are gonna go through. You know, they're gonna grow up, get married, get divorced, and the game's gonna come out, and they're like, yes, excited, it's here finally, because they're gonna play it for a decade though.
You know, I think that, you know, what happened since 2021 is that most people have been trained into the free money that they were making, and they all thought they were great traders, and they're trained in the old pamphlet readings of like, you know, drop a token. I don't have a good idea. It's like you don't even have a good idea, so you don't know how to build either. And so like with any community that I run or whatever, it's like when I feel like they're gonna walk me like a dog, I let them know that that's not going to happen, you know, kind of thing. And I talk to my daughter the same way I talk to degens. It's with respect, and the other thing about that is that the people that buy into the projects where I'm at is they're buying my presence at the very underneath the underbelly of the other great things that are about the project. They know that I'm there. They know that I'm older. They know that I'm never going to leave, you know, kind of thing. And it's same
you can't get rid of them.
Yeah, and the same thing with my partners. Like I've been in bands like growing up all my life, and there's always a queen bee in any kind of business. There's a queen bee that kind of just like, okay. But in our groups, there is no one that is like, it just, I don't know what it is. It like runs itself based on this sort of respect that is not even written down in a sentence kind of thing. So
no, we got to get that written down and signed. Tom just taught me that right now, and
Yeah.
I literally made a note in head.
They're
I
not
go,
allowed to enter until
I
they
literally was
sign.
like, that's a great idea. I would love to have.
And it's speaking of sentences, it's always great to distill, like, if something is working, how can you define it with the best words? Because once you like find out your sentence to your project or your business, like a log line to a script, it informs everything else. And I'm telling you, it just does. Like a great sentence are really puzzle pieces, tokenized puzzle pieces for the exponentiality of anything that's going to walk out of the studio kind of thing. So yeah, I think most people are trained by this money making when they need to slow down because real building and consistency happens over time. So more of that will
And that's worth more in the long run than that quick flip.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. One other thing, like the we were talking earlier about the fake swatting while you're minting, or the founder dying and then coming back to life during a mint. Like, that's a trick. Like, that's how you're gonna run a fucking project, because you know you could have rugged that much. Then you could have done that. But like, we don't pay attention to those people. We know that they're there, and I think this paradigm of building, hey, we're going to build anyway. We're not in a rush, but yet we're there, poised every day. Should be the paradigm that becomes more popular. Anyway.
So I think there's this thing, like, where a lot, and we have a great mix here. One thing that's beautiful about LA is people are like following their dreams here. And a lot of people are like, here's my company, here's my side project, here's my band, here's my clothing brand. They're like going for stuff. And so anyone who actually puts themselves out into the arena, they often will find out, like, oh shit, it's a lot harder. Oh my God, actually putting out TikToks is embarrassing and hard. And oh my God, tweeting is embarrassing. And it's a tougher thing. And then when you talk to other people doing it, you can like gain more, value from it. However, like, there's just different worlds. If I'm selling a product, I'm selling some Quest bars here. I'm reading Amazon reviews, maybe. Like, no one's on Twitter all day just being like, what the fuck? I got one today. Then you go to having like any type of social presence. You're a TikToker, YouTube, etc. You got comments all day. And you got, every time you put out a video, you got a billion people saying what. And then you go to Web3, where people are not even doing that, but they're holding a space 24/7 about you, being like, listen, I don't know what's going on now, but it's so much more intense how you engage with the fans. I'm kind of curious, like, how have you dealt with that, like the difference between the two, and when do you shut them off is probably the real question.
Yeah, so the thing for me was I had a very clear articulation of what we were trying to do. And I said my whole thesis on Web3 is that the technology matters and that right now it just attracts gamblers. And I'm not interested in that. So if you're interested in me, let me be very clear about what we are and what we're not. And what we are is we're trying to build the next Disney. So this is about the creation of IP. Creating IP is about an emotional attachment. So if you're talking to people about protocols and coins, no one is going to care about that. That will be a flash in the pan. And so we just put our heads down and let the community burn itself out that wasn't interested in that, and let people stick around that understood that we were trying to build something. And we went from like 60,000 people in our Discord to 6. And it was like, word, these are the 6 people.
Good.
And so we're going to serve the shit out of these guys, and we're going to really build something and pour our heart and soul into creating, I would say even more than a game, it's a virtual world. I have a whole thesis about where I think all this goes and why Web3 matters specifically as a technology. Really briefly, I think that what makes Web3 work is that it brings the properties of matter into the digital world, and that's the only way for digital items to matter. So that is our core thesis. So we understand that you have to care about the characters, you have to be engaged in the story, you have to want to play the game, and that nobody should know that it's on Web3 rails. It should just be this dope thing. Oh, and I actually own and can move my own items around. That's dope. But that's just an afterthought to the experience and the emotional connection that you have to the other players and to the game itself. And I think if you stay true to that, like, look, when we started Quest, it's the same feeling I had when we started Project Kaizen. Somebody said to me, we were trying to go to a distributor to get them to carry the protein bar. And they said, dude, the category's been declining for years. There's 1,600 bars in the market already. I need another protein bar like I need another hole in my head. And I said to him, there's always room for the best. And so I knew that we had to make the best bar. And then when I started a podcast, everybody was like, yo, this is played out. What are you doing? All the players are already in. There's no point. And I said, there's always room for the best. And so I went from who the hell is the protein bar guy to almost 10 million subscribers. So you've got to break yourself in half to actually outperform and to have people who not only don't know you, they are antagonistic to you, and you still have to win them over. And so when we said that we were launching a video game, people were like, what do you know about video games? Like, bro, how are you going to compete with the biggest of the big companies? And it was the same answer. There's always room for the best. Now, you have to become the best, and dear Lord, in game development, that is a whole kind of new statement. But if you can do something new and you can draw your audience in and you're upfront about what it is, and then you can deliver against that, you will be able to build something.
Totally. Yeah, it's super interesting. Like, and like the idea of becoming the best in something. For a lot of the space, things are so brand new. We don't even like know what this world we're building. Like, what's the biggest PFP project was Bored Ape. That was a brand new. We saw it being nothing, and then all of a sudden it's giant, and there was no like roadmap of it. Like,
Yeah.
how much in your head do you like? Are you saying, okay, I've seen this before, it can be improved this way, or is it really like just pie in the sky? You're trying to like pull new ideas out when you say like the best.
Well, so in video games specifically, because this is the most complicated, I will say that you need a long-term vision. You need to understand it. But the most important thing is execution. So you've got to find a way to back into, it's actually writing a LinkedIn article about this today. So here is my advice to all young entrepreneurs. If you don't know what to do with the next 15 minutes of your time to most efficiently move you towards your goal, you don't have enough clarity. So you have to nail down exactly what you're trying to do to the point where you know, oh, I should be doing this. And the example I always give people is what I hear from entrepreneurs, what you see in Web3 all the time, is the equivalent of, I want to win a gold medal. In what, motherfucker? The Olympics? Yes, the Olympics. Word, summer or winter? Summer, great. Swimming or tennis? Swimming, okay. Backstroke? Freestyle medley? Because if you want to be the best swimmer and you're practicing tennis, you are fucked. And so I see people do that all the time. They don't want to commit to the thing that they're trying to be. And so they waffle around. They're not able to capture momentum. There's actually a really cool idea from sailing called velocity made good. Now, the fascinating thing about sailing is you've got all this wind and you have these sails. But if you don't aim the sails in the right way, you either fail to capture the wind or you get moving but in the wrong direction. And so you have to angle your sails in just the right way that you capture the energy being generated and actually get to your destination. And so if you understand velocity made good, then you can do what we're doing, which right now, if you were to play Kaizen, you'll go in and you'll have 5 game modes. Yay, you'll have fun, pretty basic. But if you understand where we're going, you know why those were the building blocks that we had to start with, that it had to be a game. It needed to be competitive. There needed to be a core loop that people could come back to. We needed to be able to iterate quickly so that if players come in and they're like, what we really want is game mode number 6, that it's actually set up to give them that so that we can watch the back end data to see, okay, I see what you're telling me you want, but I also see how you're actually spending your time. And so now you can develop that, but always with an eye towards the big picture. And if you can figure out how to sequence the bricks, because most people will understand what the bricks are, but how do you sequence them? Because if you do them out of order, it's the same as getting them wrong. And so that becomes the entrepreneurial dilemma.
Tom, I want to win the silver in shooting because I'm Turkish.
It's true.
Get after it.
It's very specific.
Get after it. It is very specific.
So that's super fascinating. Well, like
Fix your rib first.
it's so funny in this space. You see people. It's like I'm going to become the biggest Web3 creator, and it's like, what chain? And then the stories keep going. And I've seen so many people pick some specific lane and just explode off into some direction. The problem is, though, in this space, there's so many options. It's like dizzying. I know some people who hear every week, it's like, I'm Cardano boy. Next week, it's like, no, dude, there's good. Say is the move. Let's go, you know. Others I have seen, and Troy's actually a good example. Ordinals is one where I saw a bunch of people go to Ordinals, and they go, I literally found it. They were evangelized. They found God. I saw them the next week. They were wearing all orange, and they were, it was a whole thing. And they were like, you didn't see what Casey just wrote? Oh, my God. Guess what Casey just said? And it was like, oh, my God. But like the waffling is so tough. Like, how do you know, like, how much time do you actually have to spend to figure out any direction before you know I'm just lost? I could just write forever and say, okay, let me fantasize about being a Cardano genius. Here's where I'm going to be the top gaming maxi. Like, how do you cut off and say I found it?
Yeah, so this is probably the age-old question, and the reality is there's never going to be a time where it's the right answer. You simply have to decide. So building a company is not an archaeological dig where you turn inside yourself and you find some glowing ember that says this is what you were meant to do. It's an architectural build. You make a decision. Yes, you could make an infinite number of houses, but ultimately you're going to build a house. And when you think about what do you do with the next 15 minutes, it's like I actually have to take a nail and a board and hammer it in a specific place. And once you understand that's the whole game, is knowing what board, where to place the nail, what kind of hammer, now all of a sudden you get out of the ethereal. Yes, you need to have that vision. You need the blueprint. You need to be able to articulate to people what exactly Oni's going to be, what that's all about. But then somebody has to know, oh, I have to find an artist. Oh, I have to, like, when you open this, if you know anything about comics, you're going to be like, I see you motherfucker making it black and white. I know what that's about. Oh, but I see that splash of color. That's smart. That's a really smart way to get color into a book without breaking the bank. Cool. Oh, I get it. You put all the money into the outside of the package because the reader will carry that with them into the book. It's a Japanese trick, which my man has learned well. And when you start seeing all that stuff, you understand, oh, I have somebody who quite literally knows how to build. Like, they have built this comic book. There's nothing in there that happened by accident. And getting people to understand that being an entrepreneur is not the dream, it's the hammering nails. And once people can accept that and go, okay, cool, I get to do the guy lost in the VR world for 7 days, but yo, when you come out, you better be ready to hammer a whole bunch of nails, because what kills entrepreneurs is boredom. Because the vast majority of things you have to do to build something that lasts is really fucking boring.
You know, see, this is very inspiring, and it should be popularized, right? I mean, on spaces and stuff like that, where people are been in since 2021. Oh, you have IP, you own the IP, but there aren't many builders. We're like, okay, we have this art.
Just use the IP, Troy. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Some people can do it. A lot of people can't. They just want number to go up, and it's just like these specific, like, they sound like rudimentary, boring things, but they're not. You know, the next 15 minutes, like, you've got to fit this peg into that.
Well, it's easy. I got it. The next 15 minutes, I'm going to do meme scope.
Yeah.
The next 15 minutes, I'm going to look at all the money I lost. The next 15 minutes,
but like
Telegram.
a lot of these projects that still promise IP stuff, like, they're not incubating how to build and encourage. Like, there's probably going to be 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 people that love story if it's a story related thing. But how can you get them all interested in just building, not just story, but like building it informs every step of your life.
Well, it's
like,
tough because, Trey, you're talking about there's two different things here. Because there's this whole world where we had the promise of join this project and you can build the IP with us, which is you're mobilizing this decentralized army of people. And then there's, I'm running a company, I'm putting everything into it, I'm trying to focus on, and I'm putting my story forward. And it's tough because, like, right now we've said, okay, great, you had a Bored Ape, you can do whatever you want with it. And some people have done some really cool things. They've gone out there. A lot of people have floundered, not figured it out. But, like, none of those things are actually characters out in the world yet. And maybe if Yuga would have focused more, they could have got their own character bigger. It's a tough, like, you know, it's like that decision. Like, so you guys are doing it right now where you guys are trying to, like, pull characters from the main collection. You're supporting people. But, like, when do you choose? Okay, guys, I'm choosing this character. I can't support everyone. I'm going forward with my own IP. You know, you have to choose your own story at one point. And can't hope that, you know, Troy's going to come in and write it all for you. Sorry, Troy.
Come on, Star-Lordy.
You can do it. You got to pay him.
I gotta say, actually, Troy and Dave, they are machines. Like, when we were talking about collabing, like 20 minutes later, they had like a 12-page synopsis for me. I was like, okay, these guys don't fuck around. I think in terms of that specific question, number one, you have to be honest with your community. You're not going to get 1,000 characters into a comic book. It doesn't work that way. I think it's more about we got to give them a way to have some that enter our canon, but kind of like Tom was saying, build a fertile ground where it's like they could also build alongside us and fit it so it is managed within the universe so it can be part of canon. And then whatever, it's more of a meritocracy at that point. Whoever actually puts in the time, who really builds something, who has the talent and the skill and stuff, the community will let you know. They'll be like, hey, this one comic book that Art Snitch made is like the best one that we've seen from the community. Like, you better put it into the canon, do a crossover or something. But I have a slight left turn, because since we have Tom here, I'm just very curious to get his perspective as an entrepreneur. It's like, for someone who sold a company for $1 billion, when Yuga was like being invested in and worth like valued at like 40 billion or something, or
it was 4. Okay, not
4,
40. Not 40. Not 40. Okay, all right.
400 billion. No, I'm kidding. 4 billion, and then like Moonbirds. Like, there's like Kevin Rose, and I'm definitely not asking you to shade anybody, but it's like there was some crazy valuations based on, from what I saw, like very incomplete ideas. So, like, how did you react were you like, yo, this is not good for the space, this is probably going to crash? Or were you like, I'm just focused on video games, you guys can go do the crazy degen stuff?
Yeah, was that noise to you?
Yeah, why didn't you warn us, you know? No, I'm kidding.
If I'm honest, the way that I reacted was, it's entirely possible there's something here that I don't understand, so I will retreat to what I do understand, which is human psychology. And so I cannot express how much I got caught off guard by the gambling mentality. So I'm not a gambler. I don't find gambling interesting, but I'm a collector. And so I heard people using collectors' language, but they were actually gamblers. And so I was like, oh, word, these people are like me. And I thought I was garnering a bunch of people like me that understood the reason you collect something is because it means something to you. That character touched you in some way, like they are a part of you. The story I always use is Yoda changed the course of my life. So I encountered this little green character, and he talked in weird ways, but he said kind of cool things. And then one day, my friend handed me a book called the Tao Te Ching, and I was like, oh shit, this is Yoda. Not realizing that obviously Yoda was aping on that, and then found my way to Bruce Lee, who solidified all that stuff. And I thought, wow, like this was that inflection point off that. So you can imagine when I see Star Wars, my entire sense of where my identity went would like bounced off this little green character in a movie that was a space opera. And so now you have something. Now when I collect, like that really means something to me. But you had to first write the character that transmitted real wisdom so that it could actually have an impact on me when I'm 11 or whatever. And then you don't get to reap the benefits of that until I'm 30 and can afford something. And so it just felt like we were jumping the shark, but I just had the sense of there's something going on I don't understand. I can articulate it now, but I couldn't at the time. And so I'm like, look, I know how to build. I know how to tell stories. And by the way, my superpower is that I can be embarrassed longer than the next person. And so when people were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I was like, look, I know what I'm building. I know that the future is virtual worlds. I know no matter how fast I talk and tell people what the future is, I can literally lay it out for you. I will be so close to accurate that, I mean, look, it's all out on the internet. We will all be able to either point and laugh at me because I've said this stuff so clearly so many times, or be like, holy shit, that guy called a shot like 10 years ago. People still won't do it because they don't know how to build. And once I realized, oh, this is a community of gamblers, I was like, I don't have to worry about them. So
you do not exist.
I can just build.
The community does not exist in this dojo. Go ahead.
Sorry, basically.
Well,
so yeah, that was it.
Beacon, you asked an interesting question, and I think even Tom, you touched upon it. How do you include your community, their characters? When do you decide some of that stuff, right? Well, if you think about where we're at and where Star Wars even started, right? Star Wars started and then it was built out because it became more popular than anyone ever imagined, right? Here we've got something that was popular with a very few people, and now it's starting to grow. The way I kind of talk to the community about it is that as a company and a brand, if we're able to tell stories and carry some characters with us, whether it be the community or the company created ones, and we're the tip of the spear, and you're building your character and your story, and we tie it into our wiki, and we connect the community to the overall story, just like Star Wars canon ended up being, right? Then as the tip of the spear, when we break into stores and Omniforce becomes a household name, the community holders that have been building will be carried with us through that process and have more opportunities than they ever would if we didn't really have that way to break in for them.
Yeah, I think this is a paradigm shift, and whenever I see a stream deck, I don't know if you pay attention to game streaming, but man, if you guys don't watch game streaming, you are living right next to a parallel universe and you don't even realize it. And what's crazy is that I'm being very serious right now, is if you have kids or nieces and nephews, whatever, they are growing up in a culture that is so foreign to your culture, you are not going to understand them. I highly encourage you to go spend 100 hours watching video games be streamed. Henry, for you, and I'm not kidding, I'm saying this as somebody who loves and cares about you, you have to do it. Because the reason you have to do it is that is the paradigm for community creation. So what we talk about at Impact Theory is Project Kaizen is a container. Now, we will set the tone, we will tell our own stories inside of it, but ultimately the container is there for them to create in. So GTA is just a container, and you get people that'll go in and they'll cosplay or role play as a cop, and they'll come across somebody who cosplays as a criminal, and they'll just have like a whole thing going on in their server.
Their
right?
own version of Heat.
Yeah, it's crazy. And if you guys saw,
That's hilarious.
If you guys saw what Dream did in Minecraft, like it was bananas. You had some of the most famous kids in the world, all of Mr. Beast's crew, all the guys around him, They were in there just telling stories, and it became a soap opera for teenagers. It was bananas. And so it's this weird mix of live entertainment, because it's not all scripted beforehand. It's a little bit of WWE, and that the real people playing characters start lying to each other inside the game. And because in Minecraft you can actually steal their items, it just became this like whole drama that was playing out. And I'm like, adults don't even know this is happening. But now imagine, think about how much your youth shaped you. Their youth is all being shaped by that. So they're going to roll into Oniforce and be like, what do you mean I can't build my own map? What do you mean I can't tell stories with my character? That doesn't make sense to me. They want you to lead. They want you to set the stage. They need you to create the container, and the container needs to have emotional resonance. The container needs to have characters. It needs to have direction, theme, a vibe, all of that. You need to curate the community. People need to know that if you're going to go watch somebody in GTA, it's going to be very different than if you're watching a streamer in Minecraft, and that's very on purpose, right? But that is the world in which the future generation of players, builders, creators is creating in. And just one quick PSA. There is one title in Japan called Demon Slayer. It outsells the entire Western comic book market. The entire market, okay? One comic outsells Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Deadpool, Wolverine. Everyone you've ever heard of is outsold by one book in an island that's a third of the size of the US. Now, if that does not make you go, what the fuck decision did they make that we failed to make, then you're not paying attention. And the decision is, they literally had a meeting at this place called Shonen Jump, and they said, are we for kids or are we going to chase adults? And they said, we are for kids. Now, because they focused on kids, they're always bringing in a new market. The U.S. comic market, for reasons I won't go into now, but I want a PhD thesis for this one day. They had just an absolute travesty that looked awesome, but it triggered gamblers, which, hey, that ought to sound familiar, and it broke the whole fucking Western comic market. And so they were left with the smoldering ruins, and all they could do was appeal to the market they already have, which is going to be everybody in Web3's temptation. You're going to be tempted to go after a bunch of degens. I'm telling you right now, that's a problem. If you are not aimed at kids, no one will give a fuck about your IP, because adults don't get down like that. You're attracting gamblers, and you're confusing that for people that like your IP. You know who likes IP? People growing up. They are going through a phase where they are going to drink deeply of culture. You want to hit those people. So now, those people are being raised on a totally different culture. And if you understand it, you will build for it wisely. If you don't, you're going to get hit by a train.
Masterclass, bro.
Woo, man.
Thank you.
Dropping the heat.
It's very hard to. It's very easy to break older people's spirit when they came in to make money, but confused by what you were saying.
So I'm part of this crazy world too. Like, this whole show before this was a coding show. I was trying to teach people Solidity, streaming it online. There was 5 people in the audience. It wasn't that popular. It was more popular online than in person here.
Yeah.
And like, I'll tell you, it's not just gaming stuff. Like, politics on streaming is insane. Music on streaming is crazy. Like right now, politics, I can watch live coverage 24/7 of someone going through, breaking down the documents, like way deeper than CNN. If you want to watch musicians, they are on there 24/7, collabing, writing, making beats, like doing real stuff, arts and crafts. Like it's a whole world. And just the thing about you got to learn this world is is slower and it's different. People go over there and they go, pop it on. It's not entertaining right away. And you go, you're going to hang out with this person. That's the thing that like kids hang out with their streamer friends for 8 hours a day.
Literally.
They don't pop it on and go, entertain. You go, what's up? Oh, it's cozy right now. We're chilling. Ooh, something fun's happening. Let me watch. You have to like adapt your mind. But it's the craziest world. Kai Cenat's the biggest like entertainer alive right now. And then there's a bunch of people who are like, who's that? And you're like, he's more important than any late night television show or anything for rappers. So yeah, I'm definitely with that. Before we do have to wrap up here. But if you guys don't know, we call the show IRL Alpha for a reason, because no alpha actually happens online. Even though Tom, you dropped a lot today. You got to drop some good entrepreneurial alpha. However, in person, you can always get deeper, talk about more serious subjects, find out actually details of my company's doing this. What do I do? Actually, what was that meme coin? Give me the actual ticker. More information. So the show will not, it's going to end, but the cameras are going to go off. We'll continue a little party, hanging out here for a while, then an after party over at Vibes Co. It's a little short walk away here in Venice on Abbot Kinney. Before we do that, Star-Lordy, why don't you tell us what's going on next for Oni Force? Like, what should we look forward to next? Oh, we fucked up, dude. We didn't give away comics, man. That's it. We gotta do this based.
Alpha is we're about to give away some comics.
Actually, you know what we should do? We've talked a bit here, okay? I know we got a bunch of actual like, anime nerds here.
Yes.
Let's just do it based. Who here actually collects comics and anime nerd? And then just tell us what your favorite is. Star-Lordy, if you approve, boom. Tom, you can give one out approval here. So, you know.
All right. We got 7 of them. So we got 7 to give away.
Don't Google.
Okay, so who here's an actual anime nerd? Who actually? Luis, let's hear it. Okay, what's your?
Facts.
What's your favorite?
I'm a Marvel guy.
There you go. Word, man.
My favorite would have to be Logan's Saga series.
Oh, there you go, little mic there too. Sorry, but yeah.
His origin story?
It's the Saga series when he's in Japan, so that's probably my favorite collection part. I still have all the Deathpool stuff. I got into Valiant when it got popular.
Nice.
I think it's called Dark Horse. I got some of that stuff. Superman died, I believe, at one point. There was a black and blue Superman. And
Early
the
90s.
Captain America series had a silver foil. But yeah, that's all my shit.
Beautiful.
Still got it.
Nice.
It's worthless. I still got it.
No,
Okay,
it's
so
never
I just-
worthless as long as the stories are still readable. Okay.
No,
as
but
long
I
as
thought
you
I would buy a house with it by now, but it's still worth nothing.
I don't want to win, but dude, I since the '80s, I have Silver Surfer #1. I
Oh,
have
that's badass.
Secret Wars 1 through 12, Web of Spider-Man #1, all the things, all the I have the last Marvel team up.
I got Spawn 1 through 7. Do you got that?
What's one?
1 through 7.
My brother,
Spawn,
I think my
Spawn.
brother may have that.
And it's
They're about to go comic for comic right
Sorry,
now
sorry.
on stage. It's actually blowing up as we speak here.
All
I
right. Does
want to know
anybody
who
know?
spent the most on a comic in here. That's what I want to. Who bought a graded
Yeah.
comic and spent the most? That's what I want to know.
My brother would be here. He'd crush it. Yeah.
Has anyone spent over $100 on a comic? $100. Come on.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay. Who's anyone spent over $200 on a comic in here?
Griffin, okay.
Behind you,
I
behind you,
got
behind
it.
you, behind you.
Oh.
There he goes.
The best comic that has ever been written is Oyasumi Pun Pun.
Oh my God, he's actually right.
Yeah. You have to read
That's
it.
no bullshit. Okay, this guy's legit.
All right,
I'll tell you
Griffin
that right
wins.
now.
Griffin
Hold on,
wins.
hold on.
Okay. There you go. And there's one nice.
That's real. I was gonna ask if anybody knows who Luffy D Monkey is. No?
Okay, we got Luis here.
I feel
Okay.
like I should know this.
What's that? Yeah, One Punch. False.
One Piece. We
There you
had
go.
One Piece. He was wearing his One Piece shirt earlier in the front
I
here.
was
Yeah,
like,
those are what he
that's
wants.
a fastball down the middle.
we all love,
But good night, Pun
Bill
Pun.
Loves.
That's real talk. And you gave the Japanese title, so bonus points for that.
Yes, that's
Griffin's a real good artist, so he's a real fancy. You know, he's
Those
always
are
gonna use the
facts.
Japanese title here. Okay.
Okay, cool. We got 3 left. Why don't we do one? I want to do one for the Oni holders. Raise your hand if you minted an Oni Force. An OG. An OG.
No, we need the OG. Okay.
2? He tried to fake it for a second. He was like, I didn't mint it.
First of all, if you can't get them out, I mean, if you guys don't know, Valerie was there at the very first time we thought of IRL Alpha. We were at a bar late at night, and I was like, we just got to argue about this indoors somewhere. Let's get a whiteboard,
let's give it to our
and
2
then it
minters.
evolved.
Round
So,
of
like,
applause.
Yeah.
and also on the other side, if you guys don't know, Chris is like the most insane guitar player alive. It's cartoonish, like literally. Like
go.
every
Why don't we
week
do
I
the
bother
last
him.
one, like some fun fact that anybody could know about Web3. Like, let's see. What day was Oni Force minted?
Ooh,
oh shit.
that's gonna be tough.
I just wanted to say oh shit on camera.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
God.
Okay, Boo's got that's Bootoshi, and I know he's got AI for it. I know he's the one tapped most into AI, and of course he answers first here. But I will say he not the worst person to actually get it. I don't know. Is he right?
Okay. Actually, Butoshi is. We're gonna give him that one. So
Okay,
he
it's
did say it
Butoshi.
first, so let's go.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay. We did it. Okay, beautiful here.
And I want Star-Lordy to answer your question about what's coming up next.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Star-Lordy before we continue the night, and we start. It's going to turn into just anime arguments
about to
after
turn
this.
into DGen,
it's subs
anime,
versus dubs
comic
right
book,
after
love.
this.
Yeah.
So yes, what's going on next, Star-Lordy?
Next, basically, obviously, we have a comic which we just released the pre-sale. So if you go to our site, you can get it. I would love for you guys to support it. Like, I don't actually normally ask people directly or shill things, but again, to me, this like represents the community, you know. So I would just love them to get that support. We are going to be dropping an AI storytelling platform next. So basically, just so people understand our IP roadmap, it's like, first we're giving the community a way to develop their characters when they own our assets. Then they get plugged into our storytelling game, and that storytelling game is actually how you get put into the canon. So then what's going to happen is we're going to open it up to give people an opportunity to submit their IP that they have developed to be considered to be used in our comic books, our webtoons, our games, that sort of stuff, and have your IP be developed by like world-class artists, people like Ryan Benjamin, who we just he's on one of the banners back there. He's literally working on a Batman comic with Frank Miller right now. Like he's
Crazy.
like a goat. So like these are the kind of talent that we want to bring to Web3, try to bridge the gap. And then, yeah, and I think that's for the ordinal side, we got a night market, so we're going to be upgrading the collection in a lot of ways. The main thing is we're just here to, like, support people who want to build and to, like, celebrate art and storytelling. Yeah, so I don't really have too much alpha because I'm not going to say we're, like, going to drop a token or anything.
Beautiful. Well, if you guys haven't seen the comic,
Definitely
come
not tomorrow.
grab one, actually feel it, go through it. It's
I'd like
beautiful.
to add something based on the inspiration. I wanted to say it 30 minutes ago, but and this is not a joke. I know I'm say funny things sometimes. So every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. PST time, me, Star-Lordy, and I know Art Snitches in the space, and Dave Kibo and Trevor from Pizza Ninjas, you know, Cab from Claynosaurs, cross chain MFers, not just ordinals, Solana ETH, musicians, high fashion, you know, IP builders. We're in a space for 3 hours, and we're rejuvenating that talk, and it's like the leading space in IP and space, especially with a lot of the masterclass and
We should get
juicy
Tom on the space.
stuff. Like, I mean, you're probably a busy guy. You have the word Bill in your last name. Is that we'd love to, but this is for anybody that, like, we're trying to re-standardize like what it means to build and have clarity in what we're doing and stuff like that. And it's not just to hear each other talk, but you know, interviewing people like G Money and that's fashion, and then like just like music and all that stuff. So we'd love to have you. It's getting bigger and bigger every week, and it's getting bullish and bullish every week. And really, it's just like a great meeting ground and a watering hole to just
Tuesdays, 3:30 p.m. PST. Is that
Yes.
correct? IP space.
We should do one with Tom, especially talk about the game,
Oh.
because I don't know if you guys saw,
Highly
but
valuable,
they got
like-
the Bruce Lee IP for
Yes.
their game that they released.
Yeah, it is
So,
crazy.
I'm like,
Can I
yeah,
add that there might be some Omniforce IP in the game?
that would be awesome.
Brother, in a
there
second, you
might
know
be.
I'd love to
Oh,
collab
okay.
with you guys.
Well,
You know
might
that.
be, might
Dude,
be.
I met
there is,
I met
there
Brandon
is.
Lee when I was 11 years old at a tournament.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and I wanted to. I
A
love
chess
that you-
tournament?
No, it was a kung fu.
Sorry,
It was a
good enough,
martial
yeah,
arts
good enough.
tournament, and I got to be on stage with him because I won all the
Heartbroken,
trophies. So
heartbroken when
I
you
love,
died.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So-
And last but not least, like Tom, seriously, such an honor. This was such a
Thank you,
beautiful
man. Thanks for
surprise
having me.
today. It was so great having you. Yeah. I'm not joking. I've listened to you so much. Right when you start talking, I'm like, I'm forgetting. I'm like, oh, I'm not in a podcast. Okay, I have to not just listen anymore here. So, anything you want to talk about? Where do you follow Project Kaizen next? Or
Yeah, well, first I just want to shout out Henry, who's been just a tremendous influence in the space. What a good dude. So glad that I met him when I did. Always down to support you, man, wherever it may be around the globe. If I can help, I certainly will. So honored to be here on that note to help celebrate you guys' 3rd year. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So love having you in the space. In terms of Project Kaizen, you can go to the Discord. That's probably the best place. So at Project Kaizen on Discord. It's the same for the website, but projectkaizen.io, and it launches on August 22nd. So that is a week from today.
Let's go.
So yeah,
Nice.
check it out.
Almost there. That's
Let
exciting.
us know. Yeah, very excited. So
Hell
thanks
yeah.
for having me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. So we're going to hang out here for a little bit more, and then we're going to go over to SoCal Vibes Co., get some drinks after, share some alpha, all of that. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, 6 p.m. PST, doors open, show 7:30. Another IRL alpha. Thank you. Jerry, play some music. Bye.
Let's go. Thanks, everybody.
What?
We good to go, Jerry? Yeah, we're good. All right, let's rock it. Ready, Slime? Welcome to the IRL Alpha Post Show, where we talk about all things that transpired on this stage right behind me. let's go to my first victim right after they're done with this picture. I got to go to our special guest tonight, Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu, man, not only did you start Quest Nutrition, not only do you have an amazing podcast with Impact Theory, but you're also one of the OG Uniforce characters, minted it. Man, what is this moment going on for you tonight? How was it like being on the panel?
It was amazing, man. Look, I really like Henry as a person. I think what he's doing as a business leader is fantastic. I think what they're actually outputting on the project is gorgeous. As somebody that loves anime, loves IP creation, I think that the project really is on an awesome trajectory. And so coming out tonight for me was about supporting him. So honored to be here. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, if people want to check out what we're doing at Project Kaizen on all the socials, game drops August 22nd.
Awesome, man. And we talked a little bit before about like community building lore, and you feel that's a future for IP, correct?
Yeah, it's a very detailed hypothesis that I have about that, but I think that players are going to be creators, and so you want to find a way to invite them into the world, create a container for them. Story, the IP is there, but give them a chance to create something inside. The way we've always seen it is let you as the core of the community build that line of canon IP that everybody's like, okay, that's the core story. And then as people create things that meet the requirements of the canon, let the community vote whether that new thing becomes canon or not. And I think that's going to be a great way to expand IP.
Amazing, man. What do you see like the future of IP? Anything else like coming up besides like community-driven lore? Like where do you see the future going?
Well, now you get into virtual worlds and AI, which I think is going to change everything. So I would definitely encourage people to look at that, where that's going to go. What does IP look like in a world where you can create it just by saying something to a computer and it generates 3D assets, generates a game world? It's going to be all about immersion.
Now you touched on AI. Do you feel like AI is going to take like the human touch away from things, or do you think it's just going to be a tool to where things can be enhanced and you can put out things faster?
I think right now, in the near term, people should just focus on how they're going to be able to use it themselves. Down the road, is there going to be some bumpiness? I'm sure there will be. But for the foreseeable future, it's going to be a tool that humans can use to wildly increase their output and their level of creativity.
Yo, Tom, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, man. Let us go to the next star of the night.
OG. What's up?
Oh,
Yeah, what's up, man?
look who pulled up at the end of the night. OG, I'm gonna get you in a minute. I gotta get Star Lord. I gotta get Star Lord.
That's the OG though.
I
He turned me. You know what? He turned me on to Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga.
I'm gonna get you to talk some anime in a second. Stand right here. Stand right here. Stay right there for me. Star-Lordy, man, you took over Uniforce at the worst time possible when floor prices crashing, but it was at an all-time high. What was it like taking over a project that had fallen from grace and to revive it up like a phoenix rising from the fire into what it is now on this 3-year anniversary where you have the comic drop, where you have this great panel going on?
You know, honestly, it's been the journey of a lifetime. When I first went on, I was like, I don't know if you guys ever seen Platoon. I was like Charlie Sheen in the beginning. Like, oh, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make a difference.
He looked just like his dad on Apocalypse Now. So
Yeah.
like, yes.
And then after a year, I looked like Charlie Sheen at the end of the movie, just covered in blood and dirt.
You weren't Marlon Brando going the horror.
Yeah. And but it's been so rewarding because every step of the way, the community, they're the ones that gave me the energy to keep going, that kept uplifting me. Now that we have the comic book out, it's like a realization of their dream, and it's more like I'm just an instrument to help make that happen, but I'm part of the community, so it's my dream too, you know what I'm saying? So it feels like it's full circle, but it's also the beginning of the next chapter, which is like super exciting, man. Yeah.
Now, what made you see like value in Uniforce in the beginning to acquire it and become CEO?
Genuinely the art and the IP. I just thought it was the best in the space. It was the best art PFP when it dropped. The artist himself is incredible. He's a great storyteller. And I don't know, it just vibed with my soul, and so I felt like it was going to be huge, and I felt like I could take it to the next level.
Man, do you feel that's like secret sauce right there? You felt something deep in your soul, made you acquire Uniforce. Do you feel that's the secret sauce? You got to follow what's inside your heart and go for what you want.
Just having really big balls of steel. That's part of the secret sauce.
Balls that drag on the ground.
Yeah.
That big.
Yeah.
Callous from dragging on the ground. Man, that's the fucking alpha. Yo, Henry, yo, Sterling, appreciate you, man. Where's my man? OG, hop in here, bro. Now put your text down. We're grabbing OG. Look at him. He's so busy. He's texting. Look at OG.
Hey man, you know what's crazy?
Yeah, put the sunglasses on, baby. Let's go.
So Star-Lordy said I put him on the JJK. What I'm doing right now is responding to JJK leaks on Twitter. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit of a nerd.
Yo, I know you deep into anime, bro.
Deep.
How do you feel about the new comic dropping, the Uniforce 3-year anniversary? How do you feel about the IP coming up? How do you feel about community-driven lore? I'm asking you a bunch of shit right now. I hope it doesn't overload
I need like one at a time, but I will say, dropping like a comic is dope. I would say it takes a lot of work to make like an actually good manga like come to life. So I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Cool, man. And like, where do you feel like community-driven lore coming? Like, do you feel that's the future where like community drives the story, and it's like you already have a pre-established community?
I think the perfect example is D-Gods. They have like probably the most lore in the space. So
I love how we go shilling to D-Gods, bro.
So I'm D-God mode. Go buy a D-God. That's where I'm at with it.
D-God's on top. Are we doing a shoey after this?
Hell no, but D-God's still on top. D-God mode, baby!
You're not doing a shoey. You're a fake-ass D-God, bro. Come on.
Hey, bro, you got me fucked up. You know how long I've worn these forces? Hell
no. We're not going to do it with these shoes. We're going to get some clean shoes, bro.
Maybe.
No. Clean shoes, no. Never do the shoey from your dirty shoes.
I could be down.
There we go. Me and OG going to drop some shoeys. We're going to get it, man. Yo, OG, appreciate you, my guy. Always, B. Let's see. Who are we going to next? Who's our next victim? Let me get these two amazing guys right here. Well, let's get Art Snitch first. Art Snitch, man. Tremendous night, man. 3-year anniversary of Uniforce.
Thank you.
How are you feeling tonight, man?
I mean, like, unbelievable, right? First of all, we survived. Second of all, we've got a real comic. Third of all, we've got a huge, awesome community. And honestly, like, dream come true. I get to actually be a part of it.
I love it, man. And seeing this come to fruition, man, like, what was the hard work? What was, like, all the nuts and bolts that went into this to make this happen?
Yeah, a lot of late nights, a lot of not sure if we're going to make it, not sure if ownership's going to support us, not sure if ownership wants us there, and, we ended up really just working our butts off to make sure that we delivered on these things. But, Star-Lordy will tell you, we won't put it out unless it's high quality, so that's the standard that we all live by internally, is like, nope, it's going to have to be better, and so we step up to that.
Now, what's the secret sauce for anybody coming into this space, trying to do what you guys did? Like building a brand up, building the IP up, making sick content with the new comic coming out.
Right.
Is there an anime in the future as well?
Oh, that is the plan, right? It's going to take a while. I mean, I've been fortunate to even go to Japan with Uniforce a couple times in the past year. And there's one thing about anime is that it takes years to make it, and it's a lot of money. So it is going to happen. There's no doubt about that, but it's going to take a little while. So we have to take these baby steps. So comics, right? We're going to do webtoons. We're going to do shorts, things like that. That's all going to be coming out over a little while, right? How do we do it? I got a quote my guy Tom, who was on the panel, who said, there's competition out there. There's manga. There's so much IP out there, but there's always room for the best. And the reason I begged Star-Lordy to come work and I raised my hand to be part of the community to say, hey, can I help, is because I think that the art and the story of Uniforce is the best, not just in Web3. I think it's better than most of the comic books out there, and I've been to Comic-Con with Uniforce, Japan with Uniforce, and I'm not saying there's not amazing stuff out there, but this is one of the best.
Oh, that was some alpha. The cream always rises to the top. Art Snitch, my man. Pleasure. Congratulations on your 3-year anniversary.
Thank you.
Making all this happen.
Thanks for having
Rising
us.
from the ashes like a phoenix.
Woo!
Oh, we love it, man.
Let's go.
Great to see you,
Let's
man.
go.
I'm going to tap in with one of my favorite people in this space right now. Let's step into the light, Troy. Come into the light, my man.
All right, bro. How are you?
I love you, Troy. How you doing?
You always have to find your light. Like, this is the light right here.
Oh, look, see, my man is a film guy right here, so he knows all about the light.
This is the light. What's
This
up,
is the
brother?
light.
How are you, man? Good
How
to see
are you doing, man? Loved you on the panel tonight. Always a man of wisdom. You got the Ordinauts coming up, man.
Yeah.
Like, beautiful anime project. What'd you feel about the Uniforce 3-year anniversary tonight? What'd you feel about the panel?
It was literally the reason I was going to skip today. I'm injured, but I wanted to be here because we were partners with them. I love anime. I own an anime project on Bitcoin, and it's about IP. And then I was delighted by what Tom Bilyeu had to say, because
one of my favorite podcasters. I definitely subscribe to the Impact Theory and watch it all the time.
I'm going to start listening to it more. So shout out to Tom. And dude, I'm just in here. I'm in this space for IP building and really trying to teach and show people how to build, and it's a slow going road. It's never like rush. And I think we were just trained to rush things and mint things. Oh, we had a great mint day. We made $1 million. Let's go do some, extracurricular activities and buy a car. No. Fucking buy a Prius or walk. You got work to do, bitch.
You gotta make it happen.
You got
man.
work to do, bitch.
You gotta make it happen, bro.
Dude, I love you. I want to say, man, I'm loving your growth as well. I'm turning this interview around. Like, you just like half a year ago, you're like, dude, I want to get like more in tune with this interviewing stuff. I said one thing to you, and you just fucking did it. Like, I just told you, tap into the moment. And look at you, man. You're working with these companies. You're flying around the world. You're getting fucking paid. Like, when did you feel that win when I said that?
Honestly, Troy, like, we had like a few couple of like pre-shows before. I was very stiff. I was in my head. You told me just be in the moment, man. And honestly, that kind of changed everything for me. And I just started, it's like you're putting in the reps, man. So a year later, here we are, pre-show, post-show. I'm doing things with Goxie Media, flying out to Karate Combat, doing all this. And you know what? I got to definitely thank you, because this wouldn't have been possible without your mentorship. Bro, I fucking love you.
I fucking love you too. Soft hug, because my son.
yeah,
Soft hug.
My man Troy is such a G that he's here injured on the panel, fucking killing it tonight. This man's an absolute giga Chad. Tap into Troy. Check him out on IMDb. Check out the Ordinauts.
Nice
He's
feet.
got very gorgeous feet. I saw him
If you
earlier.
like feet at all, you have to have nice feet to be able to like feet. You can't just have fucked up feet. You're not allowed to have foot fetishes.
Why
you
does
can't.
it always digress to
You-
feet when I'm with Troy?
Don't make me laugh. My ribs hurt. I love you guys. I'll see you on the flip side.
I'll see you on the flip side, and we're gonna go look at Friend Feet Finder after this. Love you.
Stop making me laugh, bitch.
Stop making you laugh, Troy. You know what? I want to get Valerie one more time, just because she's an OG Uniforce holder. 3 years. Let's climb. Let's flip around. Oh, you know what? We can get in front of the blue light. There we go. Here with Valerie, OG mentor, won one of the comics tonight. How'd you like tonight's event?
Oh, it was great. I actually got a lot of value. I thought there was gonna be like more debate, because usually IRL Alpha is about debate.
We're always fighting each other.
But honestly, there was a really a lot of good nuggets that I took away both from Star-Lordy and Tom Bilyeu about, just like what it is to be a founder of a project and the balance of, I guess how much you go into building the IP with the community and then having a focus on like the blueprint that you want to do. So it was really interesting.
It was definitely a masterclass for founders tonight with like
Yep.
a guy who like had $1 billion company exit with Quest, Star-Lordy who took over at Uniforce.
Right.
So it's amazing to see this come together. So what else did you take away from tonight? Like what nuggets of information are going to stay with you?
I'm really interested actually as a holder of Uniforce, I'm really interested to see how the AI comes about, because as someone who's not a developer, as someone who's not an artist, I can't really draw. What is someone like me who is holding on to these Onis? How do we use them? How do we build the IP? That's really tough. So I think with what they're gonna do with the AI to help us build around the lore and have our character match the lore that they've been, putting in the book and what they've been building, that's really exciting for me to see as a holder.
Now you mentioned the book. What do you feel about this hardcover comic? Beautiful gold foil right here.
I mean, yeah, I'm super excited to read through it. I mean, I'm so excited to see the 77 holders in here. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, I didn't even know they were going to do a hardcover until tonight, so it's really awesome to see and, feel it. It's in my hands. The gold around it is super nice. I mean, even the gold with the artists and the writers on here is nice. Seeing the Devil's Due. So Devil's Due, they did G.I. Joe. So this is
Really?
they did G.I. Joe. So this is like a really big deal. And then of course it's a sign. Ooh, look at that.
Oh, Blacklight Reactive. Oh my God.
God. So really, really cool.
Uniforce definitely delivered tonight. Valerie, thank you so much. OG Uniforce folder, diamond hands.
Let's
Thank
go.
you. Let's go. Appreciate you. Let's see, who are we gonna go to next? Let's find our next victim, Slime. Let's walk this way. I kind of want to bother Bear Snake. I want to see. Let's get into the light. As a fellow comic book guy, let's go to the light really quick because it's a little dark right there, Bear. Top over here. Perfect.
What's up?
Here with Bear Snake. If you don't know, Forgotten Runes Wizard Call. You also did a community-led lore project with the Forgotten Runes. You have a comic book as well, a video game, an anime.
We have 5 comic books, actually 10. 5 are out in stores now. You can buy it.
I do have the first one with the foil.
Fuck yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, the panel was great tonight. I think everybody brought something that was really valuable for people to hear. And it's important to be sort of telling stories about the people who are actually doing real things, legitimate things that, sort of building on the blocks that will take us to the future. So.
Now, as a founder, what are some of the hardships you had to overcome to get your project to the point it is today?
Can
I tap into the one right there?
Yeah, not sleeping for 3 years is one thing. No, I think one of the hardest things is creating a vision at first and sticking with it. I think if you have a long-term vision and you have like genuine belief in what you're building, then you don't really get distracted. And I think the second thing is that the distractions themselves. I think we work in an inherently like schizophrenic space where most people's motivations are either financial or otherwise, and they really are. They're kind of like locusts, and they move from one thing to the next, and it's very short-term gains and short-term, mid-term thinking. And so I think being able to ignore what's happening today or tomorrow, and really focus on what you're trying to do, because I think if you just sort of chase what's happening every single day, first of all, you're going to go crazy because you're never going to build anything. You're just going to be coming up with ideas and never executing. And I just think value comes in like long view thinking.
So conviction in your beliefs.
Conviction in your beliefs, absolutely, and believing, conviction in your beliefs, and then but listening to what the core attributes of something of the community wants, and also just like what the product offers. So like Web3, what's special about Web3, what differentiates it, and like lean into it and play to those tunes.
I feel like the difference in Web3 is it's definitely community focused. The community is the utility.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Oniforce and like us and also Ordnauts with Troy, I think we are trying to build a more equitable model with our community and in building, the franchise. And so I think that takes a couple different shapes. One of them is like sharing an upside to people who are actually contributing and building the worlds with you. So we just cut royalty checks to all the holders whose wizards and characters showed up in the first comic book. So we paid out thousands of dollars to people who wrote stories, and those stories ended up in the comic. And so I think it's a small example, right? I think we need to find bigger scale, and that will happen with our game that's coming out, and the television show. And Oni and everybody else will find their examples. But I think you have to find a virtuous cycle where you're feeding your power users who really believe in that long-term vision we're talking about, and they're feeding it and helping build with it. So I think that's where the real value comes in, and where we need to start like turning from sort of more like this casino we all talk about. I think casinos are fun. I think they're an important part of it, but that can't be like the backbone of what everybody's building. And so I think we're gonna see some really great examples, and we saw some tonight.
Man, looking forward to what Forgotten Runes has. Bear, always a pleasure tapping in with you, man. Thank you, bro. Love you, man. Yo, and I feel like that is all the time we have for the IRL Alpha pre-show. You know the Alpha happens IRL. Come join us at VibesCo if you're in Venice. Until next time, we love all you fuckers. Uniforce 3-year anniversary. Tap into Uniforce. Check out their comics. We love you guys. Thank you. Peace out.